Hello everyone, welcome back to World of Warcraft. Let me go ahead and fill you in on what happened since the last video before we do another one of these story quest lines, because I noticed that there are a few story quests that are up. There's this one, there's also this one over here called the Silver Medal. There's also another one down over here, which is basically supposed to be after we take down Sarkareth, which, by the way, if you see there on the bottom right of your screen, you'll notice that I am now 9 of 9. Last night, we had our community raid night, which I was a part of. You'll also see in the bottom left that my guild right now is trying to get AOTC against Sarkareth. So they are doing progression, which I am not a part of since I am behind. However, I will say that I have made progression, partly due, of course, thanks to my guild, very much so. One of our guild members, shout out to Sedated, who helps run the community raid night. He wanted to help get me ready for the minimum requirements, which was 410. You'll see that I am now 414. Part of that was because they made for me a couple of new weapons, you'll see here. So thank you very much also to Enigma for crafting these for me. And I was able to, kind of fill out some of the other pieces of my gear. I got, he helped me get this neck piece right here to be able to really buff me up, as well as change around my stats, because I'll admit, I've been basically playing this wrong. I was playing with the old mentality of how I used to play Demon Hunter back in BFA, which back in the day, we were of the mindset that, of course, haste is always important when it comes to Havoc Demon Hunters, but what they were encouraging me to do was focus on versatility as well at the time, and when we were doing test runs, it seemed to make a difference. I remember we put gems and enchantments on my gear with versatility, and we did a Mythic Plus dungeon, and they were like, "Oh wow, it's such a noticeable difference of what you're doing damage-wise on the meter." So at that time, I figured focus on haste and versatility, and that was the main thing. And critical strike to me just didn't seem as important. Well, now that's changed, and part of that is because I didn't even think about this at the time. But one of the reasons why it's so important is because I-Beam is, one, it's a really important ability, but also it's something I use quite often. And there's a talent here I completely didn't realize, I didn't even think about this, which was that I-Beam deals guaranteed critical strikes. So basically what we were trying to do was turn my stats around from haste and versatility, or even mastery, to critical strike. And you can see I now have a lot more critical strike. With gems and enchantments on my gear. I got this cloak during a Mythic Plus dungeon last night after we did raid, so I was fortunate to be able to get this to drop with critical strike as well. Just kind of filling out pieces of my gear, having this drop from Sarkareth as well. That was, even though it's got versatility and mastery, it was still a gear improvement. So that was, the thing. This was also nice to get with crit. Versatility, it's like, this one was nice with the critical strike. So I was basically able to get some better gear pieces all around, along with a new ring and such, that I could be able to get gems and enchantments for critical strike on here as well. Still need to improve my trinkets. I'm still stuck with these same trinkets, but clearly I'm making improvements. However, something else happened when we took down Sarkareth. This may be the luckiest drop I've ever had. Now, I've had bad luck when it comes to farming mounts. I've also had pretty good luck when it comes to farming mounts. I had Invincible drop for me on 19 attempts. I had the Raven Lord mount, the one from TBC, drop for me on only 4 kills. And then I've also had Ashes of Alar drop me on almost 250 kills. So I've had both sides of the luck spectrum when it comes to mount drops. However, I don't think I've ever had something drop on the very first kill. So remember that Elementium skin for the Highland Drake I told you guys about that I really wanted? That is a very rare drop for Sarkareth. in case you want to see. Oh, by the way, I also got, I finished the rewards for this month, so I got Quox, the parrot, but I also got, as I mentioned before, the charger, but that's not, what I'm trying to bring attention to. You'll see here, bring down to normal, this is considered extremely rare, it says. The Highland Drake embodiment of the Hellforge, which is this thing right here. And it dropped for me on my first kill on Sarkareth. So I must have had absurdly good luck. You can even see, 9 of 9 on normal. Have not touched heroic yet, just normal. So, yeah, I've already experienced every fight here on normal now, including the Sarkareth fight, so I'll be able to kind of give you a better idea and also know it a little better when we do the LFR version of it next week. When it comes out next week. Whether or not I am able to record at the time, we'll wait and see. But just, holy mackerel, I couldn't believe this actually dropped for me on my first kill of Sarkareth. I did try for LFR Razageth, didn't get it to drop yet, so I'll have to keep trying that again, but anyways. So yeah, that's what happened last night. So, since they're doing progression, and since I was able to leave work early today, I want to go ahead and try and do some of these quest lines in the meantime, instead of actually, focusing on some progression. Also, there is an event going on right now, Winds of Sanctuary. This is because of Diablo 4 launching for the next month. We'll be having an extra 50% XP, so this is a great time to also level alts, but also an extra 50 experience, reputation, 50% more reputation gains, except for the newest faction, Loam Niffen. So if you want to get reputation for these factions, or think about this, we also have Miss of Pandaria time walking going on right now. So if you wanted to focus on doing rep grind for Pandaria factions, this is a great week to do that, because you are now getting 100% extra reputation on Miss of Pandaria reputations this week alone. That's pretty great. So anyways, I noticed that our good buddy Caligos here has a quest for us.
There's magic in everything.
Greetings, Dretneeks. While I continue to search for the remaining blue dragons, I could use your aid in another matter. Alex Straza and I plan on laying to rest the remaining essences of Malagos and Syndragosa. She has held on to their lingering essences after both were slain years ago. Senegos said that there was a time where dragons would be laid to rest in the veiled Ossuary. Unfortunately, the place is a mess. He's gone ahead to clean the area up with Stelagosa. Could you aid them?
Senegos should be within the veiled ossuary now. Alexstrasza and I will be joining you shortly. Malagos and Syndragosa both suffered violent deaths in their lifetime. The least we can do is put their remaining essences to rest.
Alright. Now, don't get me wrong, I of course want the Razageth skin for the Proto-Drake too, but I am quite the sucker for armored dragon mounts. Like, let me change how I say that. I'm a sucker for dragon mounts, and I'm also a sucker for mounts that have armor on them, like armored up. So, armored dragons like this, I'm just like, yep. Yes, yes, and yes, even more. Here's the problem. Notice the visual glitch I'm getting on this. I really wish Blizzard would fix this. But man, does this mount look cool. It's like an alternate version of how I would picture like a Deathwing mount for us. Now, I've got that Deathwing mount from the anniversary.
Grandfather, surely you could rest and leave the cleaning of this place to someone else.
Allow an old dragon a bit of nostalgia. I used to be the keeper of this place, and I was younger than you.
It's refreshing to see Senegos in his troll visage compared to how we saw him back in Azuna in Legion. And of course, Stelagosa! Good to see you both.
Come closer, little one. My eyes
It's fascinating to be
are
standing
not
in this
what
place.
they used to
I've heard
be.
so many stories about this area from Grandfather.
Take care.
I appreciate your patience. I'm sure we'll get this place cleaned in no time. I'm here to help you, Senegos. Can you tell me more of this place? The Veiled Ossuary is where we used to bury our dead. Us dragons live quite a long time, but old age does eventually take us all. Though the aspects play by different rules. I imagine that Kaligos told you he plans to put to rest the last essences of Sindragosa and Malagos. Well, we can't do that if the Veiled Ossuary is a mess now, can we? I'm ready to begin helping you clean the Veiled Ossuary.
May the wisdom of the Titans guide
Shall we
you.
begin?
Do what you must.
Ah, the Veiled
Save
Ossuary.
the world.
I was given the task to be a sort of gravekeeper, which included keeping wildlife away from the area. I had a rather fun spell split up within several tomes kept within this place to deal with such pests. The other blue dragons did not approve of my reckless methods, so I had to keep the tomes hidden. Here, allow me to cast a spell on you to grant you the sight to find these old tomes. Once they are all gathered, we can cleanse this place of the invasive wildlife.
I believe it is time for a nap. Just give me one moment. The spell seems to have fizzled out. I won't make you wait on this old dragon. Stellagosa, could you aid our friend?
Of course, Grandfather. I remember it well. Whenever you're ready, friend. How can I help? There you go. The trail should be quite easy to follow now. I'll help Grandfather get to the next location.
Thank you, my dear. Champion, we'll be able to see what you see with this spell. Quite handy for extra commentary. I believe I may have put too much power into that spell to save young Kaligos from Razageth. It's taking quite some time to recover.
I have a sad feeling that we're actually going to see the death of Senegos by the end of this quest line. Like, something tells me that it's hinting that we're seeing his final moments, like he's getting closer and closer to the time where he is going to pass on as well. It's going to make me sad. After all the time we spent with him in Legion.
These ancient halls. In the old times, blue dragons would claim a small location in the ossuary, where they wished to have their remains sent. We used Dragonblight in Northrend as a final resting place, when it was impossible to return to the Isles.
That's why we see so many of those dragon corpses in Dragonblight back in Northrend.
Those who could make it back here after Neltharion nearly wiped us out passed within these halls. I was ordered to leave their remains undisturbed. I was the last remaining gravekeeper after that, given the task to update all the graves before we departed. I was younger, more rebellious then. They gave me the gravekeeper role as a way to teach me responsibility. It wasn't until the War of the Ancients that I took it seriously. I am the oldest of my kind.
Here they are. I'm glad that some things have survived after all this time.
The Dragonflights will rise again.
I remember having so much fun rolling these creatures up with my spells. Unfortunately, I fear that these old bones will not let me move as quickly as I once did. I would love for you to give it a shot. Let me live vicariously through you. The more creatures you roll up, the bigger the ball becomes. The bigger the ball, the bigger the creature that you can roll out. Speak to me, and I shall give you my special arcane ball to roll up the creatures around here.
There is great power within you.
Hey! Hey!
You're getting the hang of it now. I spent so much time rolling up creatures in my youth.
Grandfather, this seems highly inefficient. Don't you have spells to clear the creatures out instantly?
Oh, my dear Stellagosa. When you live as long as we do, you must sometimes favor enjoying life over being efficient.
I admit the charm is growing on me a bit.
Very good. Bring the ball closer to the top tomb entrance and launch it into the sky.
To the moon, Alice!
If the blue dragons frowned upon your ball escapades, why were you allowed to continue doing it?
Malagos was quite amused by it. He even joined me a few times, when time allowed it. And when he was a much more light-hearted aspect. The blue dragonflight is but a shadow of its former glory.
Fine work. Ah, to be young again.
Do what you must to save
You will be
the
joined
world.
shortly by Kalagos and Alexstrasza. Before then, I have a request. There was a tradition to have gravestones set before your death. It allowed you to choose where you would rest when you passed. It was the job of the caretakers to update the gravestones and deposit the lingering essence of Arcana at the site. Before our guests join us, would you help me in this task? Take this list and these graves. Update the existing graves and place the new ones.
I believe...
Grandfather, why are you still tasked with updating these graves? Surely it should go to younger drakes.
Young Kalagos was insistent I rest. But I have been waiting for a very long time to return here and clean this place. These graves deserve to be updated. It is not good for the dead to be left without rest.
Malagos, alive, aspect of magic. Sindragosa, deceased, Neltharian's betrayal. Umbral Skull, alive, arcane student. Eldragosa, alive, arcane teacher. Malagos, deceased, slain by adventurers. Umbral Skull, deceased, unknown. Eldragosa, deceased, unknown. Saragosa, deceased, slain by an unknown adventurer. Aragos, slain by infinite dragonflight. Balakos, deceased, slain by own creation. Taragosa, deceased, self-sacrifice. Caldragos, slain by dwarves. Madragosa, slain by Brutalis. Yeah, those are familiar games. You guys, of course, remember Taragosa and Madragosa, right? Madragosa was the one where we had to fight in the Sunwell raid in TBC. And Terragosa was, of course, part of the legendary staff questline in Cataclysm. Uplagosa, Deceased, Crystal Song Forest Disaster. Yggdragosa, Crystal Song Forest Disaster. Briglagos, Magical Accident. Wolfagosa, slain by Black Dragonflight. Grievigos, Zulagosa, Zexagosa, Melagos, Sapphiron. Let's update this. Slain by Kin. Sapphiron, slain by the Lich King. Yup. I figured we were going to see some familiar names here. Actually, let's look at some of the other stones here. We looked at this one, right? There we go. What's this one? There we go. Game's taking a moment to pull it up. Senegos. Kirigosa. Huh. Stellagos. Come on. Come on, game. Come on. Oh, my goodness. Trying to see what this one shows, but it's not working. Oh boy. Feels like a bit of a lag, issue on the server at the moment. I am clicking multiple times on this and it is not responding. Like, I'm even clicking this to try and update for the quest, and it's just like, nope. There we go. It's finally, like, reacting. Mm-hmm. Stellagos, slain by the Nightfallen. Yep.
I believe we can help each other.
Could you tell me more about Malagos? Of course. The Malagos that you may have heard of was the former aspect of the Blue Dragons. His mind was broken when the majority of our flight was slaughtered by Neltharion 10,000 years ago. Not so long ago, Malagos came to his senses and promptly sought to destroy all mages within Azeroth, believing that they had no right to wield arcane power. Unwilling to change his mind, he was killed. Sometime later, young Kalagos was chosen to replace Malagos as the aspect. But before the madness, before Neltharion, he was jovial, kind. Malagos and Sindragosa had many large gatherings within the Azure Span. I miss those days of levity, when laughter echoed in the mountains of the Azure Archives.
The Dragonflights will rise again.
I saw your name on one of the gravestones. Most of the blue dragons on there have passed. Who were they? Those were my family and friends. Many were lost in Neltharion's betrayal. Some, sadly, were lost afterwards. There was a time where I thought about their faces every day. I must admit, in my old age, I have forgotten what many of them even looked like. Oh, do not linger on that sad thought. There will come a time where I shall see them once again.
There is great power within you. Use it wisely.
Thank you, Dreadneeks. I believe that we are prepared for our guest to arrive.
May the wisdom of the Titans guide you.
The preparations are now complete. Kalecgos and Alexstrasza should be here soon with the remaining essences of Sindragosa and Malygos. Both suffered such violent ends. I heard even with his last breath, Malygos cursed Alexstrasza. And Sindragosa, well, she was slain 10,000 years ago by Nelthar, by Deathwing, and yet she was reanimated by the Lich King and slain by adventurers. I can only imagine the state that this essence is in. Forgive my ramblings. Kalecgos and Alexstrasza should be here shortly.
The Dragonflights will rise again. Here they are now. Greetings, Kalecgos. And to you, Lifebinder.
Ah, Senegos. I saw the remnants of your arcane ball. I am heartened to see you have not forgotten your old ways. Kalecgos, you may do the honors to lay the essences of Malygos and Sindragosa to rest.
Thank you. Sindragosa, Malygos, I am sorry it took us so long to give you this peace. May you have the rest now you were robbed of in life. How can I help?
Thank you for aiding Senegos. It's time to return to the archives.
Come, watch yourselves. The essences seem to be emitting some strange arcane energy.
It was not uncommon for powerful blue dragons to have their memories reanimate in this way, once they were put to rest. Stellagosa and I can investigate this. I believe you have more of our kind to locate, correct?
What? Why does it say memory of a traitorous sister and referring to Alexstrasza? And of course there's the Lich King.
I am the oldest of my kind.
I admit that I forgot about this phenomenon. Blue dragons who meet violent ends occasionally have some lingering arcane energy. That energy may manifest in various ways once their essences are laid to rest. Luckily, it is a simple enough process to dispel them. Simply wave anything through the energy and it will dissipate. I shall investigate the essences of Sindragosa and Malygos within this gravestone while you handle that.
How strange. Are these remnants from Malygos and Sindragosa's past?
It would seem so. It appears they were unable to truly depart from this world when they were slain.
I saw many strange phenomenon such as this, when I laid to rest the blue dragons that made it back here from Neltharion's betrayal.
It was a tragedy that so many were killed, including Sindragosa. Even then, the Lich King allowed her no rest. It pained me to see her raised into undeath.
I could not believe it when word reached my brood of what happened to her. It is a small blessing that she did not linger for long in such a state.
Sindragosa and Malygos both deserved better. I hope now we have given them their proper rest.
You see the image of Neltharion, the former Black Dragon aspect. Memories begin to flash as if it were your own. You were suspicious of Neltharion. Malygos trusted him. They fought Galakrond together. Together they saved Azeroth. Who were you to go against that? You put aside your suspicions. It was paranoia to believe an aspect would become corrupted. And yet it happened. You cursed yourself when the fighting began. You should have taken a stand. You could have stopped this. This all happened because of your inaction. Sindragosa, the Azure Queen, would be no more. The image stubbornly refuses to be dispelled. Instead, more images appear in your mind. You are gravely wounded. Before you lost your sight, you saw the blue dragons wiped out in an instant. You're flung into the cold reaches of Northrend, far from your home in the Azure Archives. Far from... Oh, I'm sorry, I got distracted by the chat window for a moment. Far from your intended resting place in the Veiled Ossuary. Perhaps you could reach Dragonflight, find your rest there. You call out for your love, Malygos, but he doesn't answer. You realize there will be no rest. You are alone. Love for the world of mortals is replaced with hatred before everything fades. You feel memories begin to seep into the corners of your mind. It feels as if they were your own. Cast out from your fellow aspects, the great Malygos left alone to protect Azeroth from mortals. The others do not understand what you've been through. You were at the forefront against Neltharion. You lost everything. Sindragosa, your flight, your very mind. Yet you still sought to save your Azeroth from itself. And for that, your once beloved sister helped lead a band of adventurers to slay you. The image does not vanish, but instead fills your mind with more images. A battle. Destruction of your very self, the sadness of your fellow aspects at your death. Yet a small part survived. They called it the Heart of Magic. They did not know that it can still contain the last of your essence. You feel regret seeing the faces of those you once loved. Perhaps you were the one who betrayed them. You do not have long to dwell on this, as the memories return to violence, death, destruction, torment. That is all you know now, and there is no escape. The mortals and aspects must pay for their actions. As you look at the figure, the memories associated it flood into your mind as if they were your own. You are risen from the dead. There is a figure, the Lich King. He knows your name is Sindragosa. You are bound to his will. The once vibrant personality you had is gone, replaced with hatred and bitterness. Hatred towards Malygos, who abandoned you. Bitterness towards the world that betrayed you. Is this what you've become? Where does the Lich King's will end and Sindragosa's begin? The memory does not go away, and instead more flashes fill your mind. Abominations testing your strength, torturing you, preparing you to fight the enemies of the Lich King. Adventurers surrounding you, wielding their pathetic magics against your might. You are eventually destroyed, but not fully. Your essence was entrapped within crystalline form and handed to one named Kalecgos. You scream in fury. They believe you are at peace. They do not know that you are stranded. Once again, no one is coming to save you. You are trapped for eternity inside this crystal. Just as you believe the memories end, it begins again, rising from the dead, full of hatred. By the way, these are the new swords that I got. Really cool looking. I also put the fire weapon enchantment on them. I think they look really cool.
I believe we can help each other.
That should do it, though it is odd that not all of the memories were dispelled as quickly as I had hoped. Let us speak with Kalecgos to let him know that we should keep an eye on this.
I believe it is time for
It is not unusual that Malygos and Sindragosa would have such powerful memories. From what I understand, their deaths were particularly painful, both slain by adventurers. It breaks my heart to think of Sindragosa enduring death not once but twice, after being raised by the Lich King. But enough of this old dragon's ramblings. Stelegos and I will meet you back at the Azure Archives.
May the wisdom of the Titans guide you.
Oh, we're going all the way over there. Gives me a chance to show off this new mount skin I have.
Look at all these ancient Titan.
By the way, let me also go ahead and say I am ecstatic about the news that Blizzard is like, we're going to try to include all this Dragonflight stuff into some of the other old dragon mounts and try to also incorporate it into the real world for those of you who want to use it, to which I say, yes! Sorry, but that is something I was eagerly, like once I got a taste of what dragon flying was like in this expansion, I was like, oh, I want this in the rest of the game. I, want this in all the other places in the game where we can fly, and I would love if it's not just these mounts, but some of these other dragon mounts as well. Let me do this with the Onyxian Drake. Just to give you, when it comes to, some of the Drake mounts I have. Let me do this with my Infinite Time Reaver, my Drake of the Four Winds, my Vanquisher mount, the one from Icecrown. Let me use it with that, please. Alright, now we're picking up some speed. I'm sorry, but being able to do this in Kalimdor or the Eastern Kingdoms or any of the other places in the game, that just sounds wonderful. So I very much commend the developers that are working on that, especially trying to incorporate this into older mounts. I think that's awesome. Hello, Syndragosa Simulacrum.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you for your help. Hold on, does she have anything to say?
Clear skies and strong winds.
Hey, Amigosa. Thank you for your help. As you can see, more blue dragons have arrived. Naragos. Hindorgos. Obby. Yet some are still missing. We cannot forget about them. I will also ensure that we find out more information about this strange phenomenon with Malygos and Syndragos' memories.
Keep safe.
Many blue dragons have returned, and many others have informed me of their plans to make their way to the Isles. There are a few key members of the flight, however, that I have not heard from. One of them may be able to help. Azurgos, stationed within the Nexus in Northrend. Do you remember him from Legion? Or from Vanilla? You, myself, and Syndragosa will travel to meet Azurgos. He has ignored all of my attempts to contact him from afar. Thanks to the Oathstone being empowered, Syndragosa can now travel further than ever before. So we'll have to travel to the Nexus in Northrend to meet up with Azurgos, our old buddy.
I am quite curious to meet this Azurgos, after all you have told me about him.
He would have been a boon had he answered our original call for aid.
This is all your fault, isn't it, Calicos? It's absolute chaos here. and you just happened to show up to make things worse.
Azuragos, you shall cease this behavior at once. Show respect to your aspect, and inform us of the situation you find yourself in.
Lady Sindragosa?
So yeah, about that, Azuragos. Explain.
Ah, greetings and whatnot.
What do you want? I had plenty to keep me busy in the Nexus before all of this. What have you found here in the Nexus? Wouldn't you like to know? This was formerly Malagos's domain. It's filled with magic that he discovered much during his state of madness. Now I'm in charge of the place. It's not safe to allow any random mortal to walk in and take what's in there. That's all you get from me. My research and what I have found are within my own business.
Do take care out there.
Perhaps Kalagos's timing is not as bad as I thought, especially if he has the simulacrum of Lady Sindragosa with him.
Going so soon.
Of course I can help track down the missing blue dragons. However, I have a mess on my hands that must be addressed first. Moments ago, several bursts of arcane energy swept through the Nexus, followed by attacks of strange arcane creations. I can create a method of tracking down the blue dragons if you can put down the locations of this wild arcana. Take this staff. Do not break it, and use it on 3 locations within the Nexus. Oh, and prepare yourself for a fight.
I apologize, Lady Sindragosa. I did not realize I was in the presence of your simulacrum.
I have heard much of you from Kalagos, young Azuragos.
Oh? And how did our mighty aspect describe me?
I told Sindragosa you're a recluse, stubborn, and prone to cutting ties with any who slight you. But I trust you to aid me in being the aspect the blue dragons deserve. I called for your aid in the Azure Span, but you did not answer. I called for you when the Oathstone was activated, but you ignored me. You may never believe in me, but I need you to believe in your flight and help us find the others who are missing.
I will do what I can. Now, do you know what is happening here?
Judging by the remnants here, I believe we're still seeing the after effects of putting Sindragosa and Malagos's essences to rest. Senegos mentioned this was an uncommon circumstance, but it appears its effects are more widespread than we thought.
Oh, I was hoping Azuragos was going to respond like, Senegos? That old troll is still walking around. Oh, how is he? Tell him he still owes me he still owes me 50 gold from that card game we played many years ago. I would like to picture Azuragos and Senegos are like 2 old friends that have not seen each other for quite some time. And that he was going to be like, oh, he's still kicking, is he? So, here is what I was talking about. It's like, okay, we're flying. And, well, it's like, okay, I'm just kind of flying now. Now, don't get me wrong, it's like, well, I've kind of liked this, obviously for a long time. I'm one of those who does love flying in this game. But it's just like, when you go from dragon flying to back to this, it's kind of like, it's just kind of like, it feels slower. It just kind of feels like, okay, well, I'll get there eventually. Hold on, let me get up there. Just give me a minute. You know what I mean? So anyways. Don't mind me. Oh, wait.
target. I don't have a target.
All right.
I've done what I can to create a method to find the other blue dragons.
You have my thanks, Azuragos. The arcane disruptions have also calmed down for now, thanks to our friend.
It's weird hearing them say Azuragos. I'm like, okay. I thought Azuragos made sense, but Azuragos, okay, fine.
I'm overjoyed to see you.
Well, things appear much calmer now. I suppose I better investigate how widespread these wild memories will become.
Do take care out there.
I have crafted a magical globe to help you find the remaining blue dragons. It should give you their rough locations. Now go. On top of everything else I was working on, I must now investigate these memories that attack the Nexus. I shall get to the bottom of it.
Going so soon.
Thank you again, Azuragos. Keep me informed of anything you find regarding these memories. I must focus my efforts in finding the other blue dragons.
You will be the first to know of how much of a burden you have pushed onto me.
Azuragos, a word of advice, if you would hear me.
Lady Sindragosa, I would be honored to hear your words.
I know why you seclude yourself in the Nexus. You look to break the barriers of our realms, to find the one you once loved. To bring one that belongs in another world, to the world of the living.
I had hoped when the gateway to the Shadowlands opened, I would find a way. But all I have are more questions than answers.
What you wish is impossible, Azuragos. If you continue to search for answers alone, your love will turn to bitter hatred, both for the one you care for, and for the world that refused to give you the answers you seek. Seek aid in your fellow blue dragons. You may never find your answer, but they will help mend your heart.
Thank you, Lady Sindragosa. I shall carry your words with me for the rest of my days.
That was nice. See you later, Azuragos.
Well met, friend.
Hopefully Azuragos will join us later, but in the meantime, we have the whole of Azeroth to search.
Good luck.
Azuragos has narrowed down the locations of the missing blue dragons. Each of us will handle finding several of them. I would entrust you to aid us in finding a few others. Choose where you'd like to go first.
Fly true.
Oh my gosh. Right in Ancient Wrong and Crystal Song Forest. Join Hala in her artifact work in Winter Spring. Investigate a cadre of rogue mages in the ruins of Theramore. Reunite with Kalagos' old friend Kiragosa in the Jade Forest. Save Zeros, a blue dragon deep in debt in Booty Bay. Well, this is going far longer than I thought it would, so I guess we will continue this questline when we return, and I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll go... I'm kind of getting an idea of where I want to go first. Stay tuned.